Okay, so what do you think is the difference between someone who was born and raised in Mexico and a Chicano that was born and raised in the U.S.?
I just think more or less like the Chicanos that actually like lived here actually are more privileged than the ones who've like stayed in Mexico, because Mexicans who've lived here already, who were born and raised in the U.S., they're already American citizens, so they kind of like already assimilate to American culture, so they kind of have a feel of what to expect in America, you know, how to survive, you know, how to go to school, you know, educate themselves and have a better life.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Chicanos here, they're much more Americanized. I mean, I don't look at them any differently. I feel like the Mexicans that were born and raised in Mexico kind of, they do, I mean, of course anybody that immigrates here is going to have their same traditions, their same culture, so I feel like assimilating to American society is a little tougher for them, which doesn't really necessarily make them bad people or not, but I feel like they definitely tend to stick to more traditional roots, and it kind of comes apparent because I've lived in predominantly Mexican neighborhoods, and I've kind of seen the differences between, I can definitely tell a Chicano from somebody who was born and raised in Mexico instead.
Okay, what do you think, or do you think parents aren't involved in the kids' education as much as, let's say, the dominant culture like white people in the U.S. are?
I just think it honestly depends, you know, just on the upbringing, like of how the parents, you know, want to raise their child. So depending on that and how, you know, the parents try to put an input, you know, the less input that you put, you know, it's more likely that your kids will do something crazy. Instead, if you really try to sit down and talk to them and, you know, try to explain things of how they should live their lives, you know, you can't live them for it, you know, for them, but you can only direct them in the right path. So.
Yeah, I think so. I think that they do focus on education, but I think they focus a lot on education. But I feel like in the sense of like the dominant culture, I feel like it's not as stressed because they know that you can make it in America too without much education. But I feel like people who like the parents that are born and raised in America put a lot more stress because they know that education is everything. In a sense, like people who are from Mexico might not necessarily know the like real like value of education, like grad school and all that stuff. Because I know my parents didn't, so I would feel like even though it is stressed, I feel like it wouldn't be as stressed as much compared to like the actual dominant race would be like probably white people. You know, I feel like they definitely put a little more. Not saying that the Chicanos and Mexicans don't, but I'm just saying like in comparison, yeah, I'll probably say they stress a little more.
And do you guys think that Chicanos in the U.S. are underdeveloped, or do you think it's just the media's doing of overemphasizing it?
I think it's the media's doing, honestly. Like, I don't think it's necessarily underdeveloped, especially Chicanos. You know, I think Chicanos is just like I see anyone that's born and raised here has the same opportunity as everybody else. So I feel like they're not necessarily like underdeveloped. I think they just, you know, I mean, some might just follow their roots a little stronger than most Americans. So half Americans don't know where they from, you know. And so I feel like they definitely not, especially Chicanos. I feel like they're not underdeveloped in that sense, you know. I think anybody from poverty might be underdeveloped.
Because everybody's stereotyped. So in a sense of that is, you know, it shouldn't be based off people's stereotypes. You have to actually know the people, just based off not even just one race of Chicanos, it's anybody. So, you know, just depending on, you know, how their upbringing is and how they handle, you know, their own life problems, you know, it's just going to vary on what those stereotypes to them really are, not stereotypes that everybody gives them from the media or from other people. You have to actually know the people to really, you know, actually give them, you know, judgment on their own characteristics.